Hey there friends, how's it going? This is David Potts with Song Notes and another episode in my Learning Lead Guitar video series today, where I'm sort of sharing with you the progress that I'm making and the realizations that I'm sort of having as I attempt to get better at playing the electric guitar and being able to play, licks and fills and solo over some of my favorite songs. So in this video, the inspiration will be the song A Pirate Looks at 40 by Jimmy Buffett. You don't need to know the song, but what you do need to know is it uses this 12 measure progression. And what you saw at the beginning of this video was me putting together everything I'm about to describe and sort of just playing over the backing track, which is available on my Patreon page, along with tabs I made to accompany, showing you the different sort of phrases that I put together and that I was sort of just pulling from like a salad bar. Let me try phrase one, in this way, and phrase two like this. So that's available for you if you're interested. But let me talk about the high-level concepts here that are going to be applicable if you're doing any kind of lead playing. And the main idea here is going to start with this idea of triads, right? So if we know that this song in question is in the key of G, right? And if we look at the first four measures, just for example, it's going to be four measures of G, okay? And while that, G is being played, the melody, and the melody that I wish I could sort of solo naturally over is very simple. It's just the first three tones of the G major scale. Okay, the one, the two, the three, back down to the two, and then... So it's a super simple, not complicated sequence of just three notes that are all a whole step apart. But how do I play like lead fills over that? Or maybe like how do I incorporate those melodies into lead fills, but that sound more exciting than... Not the most exciting thing by itself. Here is the realization. One is I took an existing concept that I had familiarity with of triads. And triads are the idea of you take a chord shape, especially with bar chords, right? As you move up the neck, you can play G here on the 3rd and 4th and 5th fret. You can play it up here on the 7th, 8th, and with a 10th fret bass note. This is a C-shaped bar chord. You can play it here. This is an A-shaped bar chord, 10th fret root and then 12, 12, 12. If this sort of familiarity with the fretboard is something you're not familiar with, check out my lesson on the caged chord shapes. And what this has to do with is all the open chords that you already know, C and G and D and E and A. Those shapes, you can basically move those up the fretboard, and for every major key, those 5 shapes are going to exist. So you learn the shapes once, and you probably already know them, you just might not even know it yet. You can use them anywhere on the fretboard. And then it can be helpful, just take a key, like the key of G, and here's Fret Monster, the web tool I have on my website. This is an interactive tool, it's super helpful. You can use the left and right arrows in your keyboard to change the key, right? You can use the brackets to change the sort of scale, or the scale, I guess, or the notes on the fretboard it's showing you. But if we go to G and major, so a major scale in the key of G, what this is showing you, or this bottom number is frets down here, right? And if we turn on triads, meaning show me just the 1, the 3, and the 5, right? You can either label each note with the name of the actual note. So the G major scale has F sharp is the only sharp, right? It's just G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then G, and it repeats. Now, if you do scale degree or interval, which is a really helpful way of thinking about things, this is just showing the number of notes in the scale, like the number of each note in the scale, the scale degree, the interval, right? So the 1, the 3, and the 5 played together make up our G major chord. And just to emphasize what I just showed you, this is playing on the 3rd, right? This is a G major scale. Likewise, over here, the second one I showed you, this is really tricky to play, but we're barring this with our, I lost my drawings. We're barring on the 7th fret, and then we just do a C-shaped chord with these fingers. Oh man, that was bad. But the idea of triads, to sort of come back to where we were, is this idea of we can take just portions of those chords. So we can take this right here. This is a triad. This is a triad. These are all G triads on the thinnest 3 strings, right? Right? 4, 3, 3. 7, 8, 7. 12, 12, 10. These are all G triads. So that first 4 measures, if I'm just on G, right? Da 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 da. Well, could I sort of use these triads as a sort of way to fill things out? If I know that it's this note and it's this note and it's this note, these 1, 2, 3. If I want that to be the melodic through line of whatever lead embellishment I'm doing, I could just, it occurred to me, I could look around at the triads that are near each of those shapes. So for these two, it's a bit more clear and obvious, right? So let's start with this triad. Da, 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 da. Da, da. And that sounds okay so far. It's giving me some full bodiness at the beginning and at the end. But this middle note, this second degree of the scale, there's nothing there fleshing it out. And this is one of the realizations I had just in noodling around. Was I was looking at all these notes and I thought, well, hey, can I kind of just almost create like a bridge triad? And that's like I'm just making that term up, meaning it's like literally a bridge that's connecting, you know, this triad and this triad. And look at these notes that are right there. Again, these are all notes in the G major scale. What about these notes? 5, 5, 5 on the thinnest 3 strings. It has a very nice sort of transitional quality between this first triad and the second triad. And what I also can sort of see is just from my knowledge of bar chords that basically, like, if I do, well, this is going to be kind of not that good, but basically this is an A minor. 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, right? The 2, the 6, and the 4 all together. In any scale you're playing, in any major scale, the 2nd degree, 4th degree, and 6th degree are going to make up the minor 2nd chord. So whatever the 2nd tone is in that scale, we're going to build a minor chord off that. In this case, it's A minor. So if that theory lost you, don't worry about it. I can cover that in a separate video. But this triad, and this triad, with this first phrase I'm doing, that's just going between notes 1, 2, and 3, those 3 triads sort of gave me something to work with. And here's an example of how you could play that in a way where see, I wasn't always just doing full strums of all the triads. I was sort of just sort of freely picking from those triads, right? Kind of just between the 1st and 2nd and 3rd string, knowing that it's the thinnest string where I want the melody to come. So the cool part that I realized in addition to this is you don't always need to just do all 3 strings. You can do the free picking I just described, or you could do like double stops. And the double stop is just 2 notes played at the same time. So what if from this triad we did the thinnest string, thinnest 2 strings, and same with this triad. So then it becomes right? It's another way, instead of using the full triads, to sort of infer that melody, but do it by playing more than one note. And then this is the cool one that really sort of made me excited to mess around with this, is this idea of doing these sort of sixths. So we're going to sort of connect these two. Harmonized sixths. It's tough to say out loud, but basically the idea is that this 3rd to 1st string leap between each chord, this is a 6th interval, right? Has a really cool sound where the notes are far enough away where they feel a bit more spaced out compared to if you just do the thinnest 2 strings. That sounds okay, but it almost sounds a bit too, I don't know the word, but things sound almost too close together, and it just kind of sounds like 2 people walking perfectly in step, to the point where it's like, okay, I get it, you're walking in sync. Whereas this, those 6s have a really cool sound. And here's the cool part is you might recognize this same interval used in other songs. For example, this song by Van Morrison. Here's the sort of melody. Or this one, this sort of classic. Right? So what I'm doing there is just taking these, I added this one in the second example there, lean on me, right? So basically, in that example, the lean on me, I'm going from the melody of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, but underneath of it, I'm adding these sixes, right? So it adds this cool harmonized sound. So that is kind of what inspired this thing. Now, here's the other cool realization I had, is this idea of, as I'm putting this together, I'm realizing that you can play all these things not just on the thinnest 3 strings. You also can do them. If we want to play this 1, 3, and 5, are there other places we can play that? Let's, for example, look on the 2nd and 3rd and 4th string, and if you look for 1, 5, and 3 on these 3 strings, somewhere over here, do you see them? Here is the short answer. Yes, you do. So this is another triad you can do. Right, this is 9th, 7th, 8th fret. It's the same exact notes as up here on 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. So if I wanted to basically recreate this sort of thing I just showed you, I wish I could change the color in my second marker here. How could I do that with other on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings? And the answer I'll show you is you start off with this one, 1, 3, 5, okay? Now we want a 4 and a 6 and a 2. Well, those exist right here. It kind of creates this like boomerang shape. 10, 9, 10. And then I want to go to this 5 and 1 and 3. And check it out. It's highlighted right here. So it's kind of the same thing we already had, where you start with one triad, and you know where you want to end up. Right? Da 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 da. And what's the triad in between? We're gonna go with this one, 2, 6, 4, and whoops. Could we do the harmonized sixes? Let's try it. We sure can. So it's a cool thing, and you can also do the double stops in the thinnest 2 strings. Okay? Y'all, check this out. This is awesome. Buffett does the exact same thing that I was just teaching, and I saw this like after I had already kind of worked this out, which is the coolest thing. So I'm gonna start it. Watch what he's doing. He's doing the sixes. I'd run my share of grass. Made enough money. So now the dots are starting to connect, and all I just showed you was for this first phrase in my PDF here, right? It's the phrase 1 where it's Mother, Mother, Ocean, right? And you could solo with that same phrase in mind. Now there's a second phrase. I'll show you the same concepts as it applies to this. This one's going from 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 6, 1, 1, 7, 6, 5. So for clarity, that's starting right here, and it's sort of going, first it's going between the 1 and the 2. 1, da, 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 da. Then it walks down from 1 to 7 to 6 to 5, to 1 to 7 to 6 to 5. Da, 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 da. Right? So now I know this is played over a C major chord. That's going to be 3, 5, 5. So C major is going to be the 4th, the 1, the 4, and the 6. This is going to be our C major triad here. Not triad, but the intervals that make up the C major chord, okay? Now I could do the double stop approach, but this doesn't feel really satisfying up here. This triad shape, right? This 5, 5, 3. Let me show you that. This 5, 5, 3 triad shape for the C. As I add that second degree, it just is awkward. So instead, if I wanted to do the 4, the 6, and the 1, let's look down here. Anywhere you see it? Right here. Now this is a major triad. It comes from the 8, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8. This is a C major chord shape. Okay, again, cage chord shapes, key of C. We know that, if we go to notes, we know that this is a C bass note right here. Right, so I could basically play the E-shaped bar chord, But instead I'm just going to play second, third, and fourth string. Right, the C, the E, and the G, but let's go back to scale degrees. I think it's more helpful. 10, 9, 8. And then it starts to connect for me, man, because listen, it's like, hey, I'm using this triad right here, this one right here, and I want to end up on this G triad from 1 to 3 to 5. Okay? Again, I have the tabs for all this stuff in my PDF thing. I want to just connect this idea, though, of I know this is a C major bar chord. I know that these 3 notes from that chord are a C major triad, and I need to get from this C down to this G. From this C, 10, 9, 8, to this G, 5, 4, 3. And what happens along the way are these other notes in the G major family, right? I know that this is sort of like, I see these 3 notes right here, 7, 7, 7, and I think, well, those are just from the D major triad, or D major chord. This right here, 5, 5, 5 is from the C major chord, and then we end up here. So if I'm connecting this C, and I'm using these transitional triads to get to the G, it works out just fine. So the whole first 2 phrases then, right? C. Okay, there we have it. It's much better than doing it over here. That's not as satisfying to me. It's using open chords. This triad shape isn't really flexible. I want to use this one instead. Weirdly, with this phrase, the second phrase, the 6s don't work really well. It's just doesn't have the same satisfying aspect of being played. But instead, those triads work great, okay? Now the final phrase is going from this second degree of the scale to third degree to first degree, second to third to second to first. That's all it is here, right? There's almost like a, I don't know if it's a mandolin or just a guitar being played on the album version of Buffett's recording there. So what do we do for this one is we're going to basically, we could use the triads we already know. The G is how we end up. But in the chord progression, we're going from A minor to B minor to A minor to G. Now I know this is an A minor and I know this is a B minor. So if you just take the thinnest 3 strings, 5, 5, 5 for the A minor, 7, 7, 7 for the B minor. So now, can we play this anywhere else? Let's look, okay? So again, it's this G to this A minor to this B minor. Now, we know the G already exists right here, because remember, y'all? So remember 5, 3, 1. This is our home base where we want to end up. But what about 2, 6, 4? Do you see a 2, 6, 4? Right here, the boomerang shape. And then what about 5, 7, 3? Do you see that? Yeah, same boomerang shape. Okay, so we're going to go from 9, 10, 9 to 12, 11, 12. Back to 9, 10, 9 to this G triad. And you could do the 6s. They work really well. So those are the only phrases we're going to need. All 3 phrases are complete. They're playable in 2 different positions. So now I'm going to put on the backing track, and I'll show you just where I'm at with being able to freely solo over this. So if I was playing this song and a buddy was playing acoustic guitar, I could take what I know here, and I have a few different ways to play each of these phrases now. There's 3 phrases. Again, I have this PDF available on my Patreon page. For each phrase, it shows you the 2 different positions on the fretboard, one with just the melody notes, one with all triads, one with just double stops, one with all the harmonized 6. So it's a bit kind of encyclopedic, right? But it's really giving you just the inventory that I'm pulling from here to play this thing. So let me pull up the backing track.
1, 2.
Okay,
3,
counting in 2 measures, and let's roll. So that is my current state of affairs. I'm not necessarily, by no means, a master at all, right? But I feel so much more theoretically confident than I was a month ago, where I was sort of starting to learn this song for my general lesson on it, and I've always wanted to play over it, but I just didn't know where to start. So now I could do the double stops, I could do the sixes, I could just do the melody. I mean, that's a whole that's a whole approach you could take if you're just playing the, you know. You could work that out with phrasing and stuff where it sounds more than just one finger on one string, right? But that takes time, it takes exploration, but use what you know. And it's in my PDF, you can play it here, but you also can use... Right? You can use it, that same notes. Right? When you have options and possibilities like this, it gives you more to play with. Sometimes certain positions are just more pleasing to play in, and because of the triads or because of the other sort of affordances the guitar gives you. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this, y'all. I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was a helpful breakthrough. I hope this was a helpful video for you. Again, the backing track and the PDF is available with all the different tabs showing you these different phrases with the double stop approach, the sixths, the triads, and just the melody notes. So hope this is helpful. Check out the rest of the links in the description here for other lessons in this series on learning lead guitar. I want to keep trying out other stuff and just getting more comfortable, putting in the reps. So that's what I'm doing. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, my friends, and bye-bye. Hey everyone, what's going on? So I want to give a quick walkthrough on how to use this PDF in case you're curious, okay? Because I don't show a lot of these tabs or any of these tabs on screen. Here's the main idea, okay? The sequence we're playing over, or that we're aspiring to play over, is 12 measures. The first 4 measures are phrase 1. The second 4 measures are phrase 2. The last 4 measures are phrase 3. These are the chords being played. Now the phrases refer to, over here in these 2 pages, I'm showing basically the same thing like 4 different ways. And in each way I show it, you can play it, you know, on the thinnest string or on the second string. Okay, so that's what I just covered in my lesson here. Now, this first chunk shows you the melody note only. So if you just looked at this half, forget this half for now. If you just looked at this half, while phrase 1 is playing on the backing track, 4 measures of G, you would effectively play G, D, 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 G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4. Then you go to phrase 2, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, then walk down to G, 2, 3, 4, right? You walk down to that G. Then you have the final phrase. A minor 7 to B minor to A minor, then to G 2 3 4 G 2 3 4. So these yellow notes represent the melody, okay, the part you would hum. Now over here are the same exact notes. They're just played on different frets and different strings. But as I showed in my lesson, the same exact tone, as far as your ear is concerned, is produced with this note versus this note. They may be on different strings and different frets, but the way the guitar works is they equal the same pitch, these 2 notes, and it follows along exactly. So this is introducing the idea of you can play all 3 phrases either here or here. And I'm sure there's other strings you can play them on too, okay? Now, here I show the same melody notes. The yellow notes are the same on all these sections. But this is showing triad. So that means for every single melody note, I'm showing the inferred triad played beneath it, okay? For every single one. I demonstrate all this in my video lesson. This is all with the melody notes, again, on the thinnest string. This is taking the melody notes played on the second string and putting the triads under that. This next version is showing it with double stops. Technically, these are double stops also. But when I say double stops here, I'm really referring to like the thinnest 2 strings, okay? You see that for all of them? And then for the final section, the harmonized sixths, I'm showing it there as well. The overall point with this is you're meant to put on the backing track, if you want to do what I did, put on the backing track, it's available there, and let it play. It's 5 minutes, you can put it on repeat. And start off just like with just the melody notes. Make sure the melody note is kind of baked in your head. Listen to A Pirate Looks at 40. That'll help instill it. From there, you can use either the triads or the sort of thinnest 2-string double stops or the harmonized 6s to flesh out the melody notes. And if you play it like me, you're bouncing between. Sometimes I do triads, sometimes I do the 6s, sometimes I do just the melody notes, sometimes I'm doing just 2 strings. There's no like linear, I didn't tab out exactly what I'm playing here because this is like the salad bar of options I'm picking from. And in this exercise at least, I just wanted to sort of put this all together and share it. So that's how you use it. In case you're curious, that's how, again, it's meant to be used over the backing track. And I ask you this too. This was less of a tutorial, like I said, and more of a process, like here's what I went through. Now, if anything I showed in my lesson, whether it's understanding intervals or understanding cage chord shapes or understanding triads or intervals, whatever, let me know. I'll make a lesson. I want to make lessons explaining all this stuff as if like you're working through it for the first time. This is me showing what I worked through. So it's meant to be a bit of a zigzaggy process. But thank you all so much for watching this far. Hope this is helpful. If it was helpful, let me know. I just want to get this one out kind of quick and move on to this continued song lessons I'm doing. But I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I'll continue to practice this. And I really want to make a library of all my backing tracks. It's like on the web and easy to get to. That's coming in the next couple weeks or so. But this is a good one to work on. So anyway, thanks all. Bye.